Jackson, the king of pop, is a familiar figure in the hearts of the public. In fact, throughout history until now, there has probably been no entertainment star with greater global influence than Michael Jackson. His brilliant career, glorious achievements, and immortal songs are what people often mention about him. But that is not all. As we know, the king of pop had a life full of secrets hidden for many years. From an unhappy childhood to the terrifying dark sides when his career was at its peak, and even his mysterious death. Numerous theories about Michael Jackson's life are still discussed to this day. Some believe he was a member of the Illuminati. Others say he died from drug abuse. So what else about the life and death of this legend do we not know? Are the rumors about him true? Michael Jackson, the mysterious life and death of the king of pop. As usual, before getting into the main content, please support Vutrun Mindfloy with a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss exciting videos. And don't take your eyes off the screen because we will start the main content right now. Surely everyone knows Michael Jackson is very famous and information about him is easily found on the internet. But perhaps we should still summarize some aspects of that special life to better understand the secrets in the later part of the video. The suburbs of Gary, Indiana, in the 1950s, a place filled with smoke and dust from steel mills and industrial factories during America's industrialization period. Born into a black family with 9 siblings, Michael Jackson grew up in poverty. Belonging to the working class, Joseph and Catherine Jackson still tried to provide enough food and clothing for their children. And most importantly, nurturing a love for music. Joseph worked as a laborer in a steel mill, occasionally playing R&B music with a group of Falcons. But it seemed his love for his children was not equal to his love for music. Why is that? Because Joseph frequently beat his children with belts, whips, and anything in his hand. Joseph forced his children to practice until exhausted, dedicating all their time and energy to music. Because he believed that only music could help his children escape poverty. Michael Jackson wrote in his autobiography that his adolescence was a series of dark days. He couldn't play innocently like his peers, but had to live and work in a terrible environment like hell. Michael was once hung upside down by his father from the ceiling and beaten until exhausted. The king of pop during those years often stood alone, crying in loneliness and sadness. And feelings of fear and nausea haunted him every time he met his father. In 1964, just at the age of first grade, Michael joined the family band the Jackson Brothers, consisting of members Marlon, Jackie, Tito, Michael, and Jermaine. The 5 brothers toured throughout Indiana. After unexpected success with the song My Girl, the Jackson Brothers became much more confident. They began organizing cross-state tours to Chicago, Illinois, then to the East Coast and Central America. In 1966, the group changed its name to the Jackson 5, with the main vocalists being Michael and his third brother Jermaine. And surprisingly, the family band gradually achieved unimaginable success. 2 years later, the Jackson 5 signed their first recording contract with Motown Records and began to become famous in the American music scene. The group received much praise from audiences and critics after their songs held the top position on the Billboard Hot 100 chart for a long time. Although not yet an adult, Michael showed innate talent when releasing albums like Got to Be There, Ben, and Rockin' Robin at just 14 years old. Thanks to his children's initial success, Joseph decided to move the family to California in the 1970s. The first house in Encino was located at 1616 Queens Road, Los Angeles. And of course, it was bought with the money his sons earned from music. During this time, the Jackson 5 were called Jackson Mania by the press, referring to the audience's admiration craze for the Jackson family. The Jackson 5 then entered a period of decline when their relationship with Motown Records became tense. In 1976, the Jackson 5 signed a contract with CBS Records. Of course, Motown Records was unhappy because their contract was terminated early. But during this time, Michael began to achieve more success in his solo career by composing and performing famous songs like Shake Your Body, Destiny, and Can You Feel It? In 1978, when Michael played the role of a poor person in the movie The Wiz alongside singer Diana Ross, he accidentally met Quincy Jones. They became friends and together planned to produce and release Michael's debut album 4 years later. After Michael Jackson's Thriller album was released in 1982, the role of the Jackson family band almost ended, opening the peak period in his solo career as the king of pop. Thriller ranks second among the most successful albums of all time and maintained the top position on music charts for a long time. Thriller is also one of the best-selling albums ever with over 107 million copies sold, becoming one of the albums with 7 songs reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. But from here, a new phase in Michael Jackson's career officially began. If it had to be named, perhaps people would call it glory and tragedy. In Michael Jackson, few black singers have had such a great influence on the global entertainment industry as him. With talent and hard work, the king of pop gradually captured the most important positions in the billion-dollar industry and major record labels. S. White, Look Again, He. First, Michael is 100% black, and second, he doesn't use skin whitening cream. S. Right, The Story of Michael Jackson. In the early 1980s, Michael Jackson was the most mentioned black singer in the media. He was honored as an African-American star who received almost absolute support from audiences of white, yellow, red, and of course, mostly black people. Michael Jackson was a symbol of success and the upward effort of black artists in the land of opportunity. The then young MTV channel gained a top position in the world entertainment industry thanks to Michael Jackson. However, things gradually changed. Look here. Many fans were surprised each time Michael Jackson appeared, as his appearance, especially his skin color and face, changed significantly. He was no longer the black person he used to be. By 1992, Michael Jackson's skin had clearly become whiter, and the media also made it a very hot topic for discussion. Faced with press information, Michael did not deny the change in his skin but explained that he had vitiligo, a skin pigment disorder. However, this explanation did not soothe the anger of the black, because they believed he wanted to escape his origins, to transform into a white person to seek more success in American society, which was notorious for racial discrimination. A plastic surgeon in New York revealed that Michael also used too much surgery to reshape his nose, teeth, jaw, chin, lips, cheekbones, and even used skin bleaching creams. Some American tabloids spread the news that Michael Jackson slept in a sealed room filled with oxygen to prevent aging. But was that the truth? What really happened to the king of pop skin? Are there really people willing to abandon their racial origins in exchange for wealth and fame? Perhaps the answer will be revealed by this man. His name is Arnold Klein, Michael Jackson's dermatologist when he was alive. He said that Jackson showed signs of vitiligo in 1983, a condition characterized by loss of pigment in patches of skin. The king of pop also suffered from another autoimmune skin disease called lupus. After 4 years of monitoring, in 1986, The doctors diagnosed Michael Jackson with the two aforementioned diseases and needed to be treated with appropriate methods. But the truth was even harsher. Vitiligo not only negatively affected the key to pop's physical health, but it also caused Michael Jackson to face major mental issues. The strong impact of vitiligo on the body can cause psychological pressure. Michael Jackson used makeup with light tones and possibly skin bleaching creams to cover the uneven patches caused by the disease. The creams made the male singer's skin brighter, and with the effect of makeup, he could look very pale, as we often saw. But the public did not understand him. People continuously attacked Michael Jackson because of his change. They said he was a terrible role model for black youth, or fabricated that he wanted to look more like a white person to participate in movies and television shows. However, in an interview with Oprah Winfrey in February 1993, Michael Jackson once shared directly about this issue. There's no such thing as skin bleaching. He officially admitted that he had vitiligo and had to use makeup to hide the ugly, uneven skin patches. That's something I can. That's my own problem. I can. No one says anything about that. 62 million Americans then watched the interview and got their answer. Except for some people who harbored hatred for Michael Jackson, perhaps the majority felt more sympathy for him than suspicion. And that interview also sparked a series of presentations about vitiligo, a disease that very few people knew about before the interview took place. Michael Jackson always proudly declared himself a black person, and you will feel it more clearly in the letter he wrote to British Prime Minister William Percival in 1988. Perhaps I have seen our world through rose-colored glasses, but I love everyone on this planet. That's why stories of racial discrimination really bother me, because I believe that everyone has equal rights. I was taught that and will always believe it. I just can't understand why people can have conflicts just because of their skin color. I love all races on Earth. Discrimination is a manifestation of depravity. We are born into a world in a state of weakness and without clothes. That reminds me that, beneath this attire, I am just the same, regardless of skin color or ethnicity. Shortly after his death, tubes of benekine and hydroquinone were found in Michael Jackson's home. Both of these creams are skin lighteners and are recommended for adults with vitiligo affecting over 50% of their body. To lighten the remaining pigments and make the skin uniform in color with the depigmented areas. Michael Jackson's autopsy confirmed that his vitiligo was real. The singer's skin was found to have a significant reduction in melanocytes, the cells that determine humans. Thus, finally, upon his death, the unjust accusation of denying his skin color that the world had attributed to him was cleared. However, it seems fate had not yet released Michael Jackson. He still carried a greater, more terrifying injustice that remains unproven to this day, even decades after his death. Do you know which injustice we are referring to? There are no snowflakes in the bag. That is something a Canadian artist, now living in China, once said. And what Michael Jackson was accused of coincidentally fits that statement very well. The story will begin here. Look at this mansion. It is called Neverland. Yes, you heard correctly. It is the name of the fairyland in the famous Peter Pan movie. Michael Jackson purchased the property located on the hills of Santa Barbara Valley, California, in 1987 for about $19 million. Without conversion, one can imagine how large that sum was over 30 years ago. At Neverland, Michael Jackson built his private playground with an amusement park, a lake, a movie theater, and a zoo. It was described as the America of decades past, where a lucky child could grow up. It also had white towers, ornate street lamps, meticulously maintained lawns, and flower gardens, tree houses, and a fake Native American village. Free candy was always available. Music played from speakers hidden in rock crevices. As residents, the Elephant Bubbles, became Michael Jackson. Famous friends were frequently hosted by Jackson here. In 1991, the Pop King's close friend, actress Elizabeth Taylor, who had gifted Neverland Zoo an elephant, held her wedding to her seventh husband, Larry Verpenska, at his location. But the most noticed figures were not the celebrities, but children. Children were also often invited by Jackson to Neverland, through meetings with child stars like Macaulay Culkin, or children selected from charities that Michael Jackson was involved. And children are the reason for the injustice that Michael Jackson still bears to this day. The Pop King was repeatedly accused of child abuse in his mansion. 10 years after his death, the 4-hour documentary Leaving Neverland by director Dan Reed once again stirred endless debates about whether the Pop King abused children. The film's content revolves around the accusations of Wade Robson, a 36-year-old choreographer, and James Safechuck, a 42-year-old programmer, against Michael Jackson. These two men have filed lawsuits against Michael Jackson, claiming that the legendary singer sexually abused them when they were children in the late 1980s. However, the lawsuits were later dismissed by the court due to a lack of specific evidence. Before the film's official screening, festival director John Cougar arranged a medical team to be ready to assist those who might have issues watching the work detailing child abuse. But what did that film talk about? James Safechuck revealed that Michael Jackson once took him, then a teenager, to luxury stores and let him try on jewelry. Michael Jackson explained to the sales staff that he wanted to buy a gift for a woman, so Safechuck's small hands helped estimate the size. Later, Michael Jackson bought a diamond-studded gold ring and gave it to him in a mock wedding. They even exchanged vows and nearly completed a wedding ceremony. In Leaving Neverland, James Safechuck publicly showed the ring, emphasizing that Michael Jackson used expensive jewelry to exchange for sex. And that is the ring you see on the screen. At the peak of their friendship, as Michael Jackson defined his relationships with boys, he bought one for Wade Robson, the second figure to appear in our film. That was a hot technological device in the late 1980s, often used by the King of Pop to send messages or receive letters from fans. Not stopping there, the Neverland paradise we admire is full of secrets everywhere. These secret locations include a private room inside Michael Jackson's home movie theater. These rooms use one-way glass, allowing viewing from inside, but people outside cannot see inside. Neverland's train station also has a hidden attic with a bed. In addition, places like the swimming pool or bathtub were also accused of being locations for the King of Pop's child abuse behavior, with too many unclear aspects and lack of specific evidence from both sides. The battle over the authenticity of Leaving Neverland is still ongoing. The tension between Americans and communities that love the pop legend, and child welfare organizations versus the accusers, remains very high. It can be said that never before have people had to ponder so much about a star like this. No one knows whether to believe the evidence and arguments in the lawsuit, or listen to the living witnesses who struggled almost their entire lives to bring this shocking story to light. Until now, those accusations have not been clarified. The King of Pop is no longer here to defend him. What will happen to this monument? That 2019 documentary, although it's full of extremely terrible things, did not have any convincing evidence. It was just the words of two people whose honesty no one can verify. Even the ring evidence could easily deceive those prejudiced against Michael Jackson, because no one knew what it really looked like. And 2019 wasn't the first time Michael Jackson was accused of child molestation. Before that, those trying to tarnish the king of pop's honor had all failed. In May 1993, Jackson was accused of child sexual abuse by a 13-year-old boy, Jordan Chandler, and his father was Adam Chandler. He began using drugs to reduce stress and quickly became addicted. The Chandler family demanded compensation but was refused. Instead, the male singer countersued them for attempted extortion. In August 1993, police searched Jackson's residence and found books and photos of nude boys in his bedroom. Since they were all legally purchased and owned, the grand jury decided not to prosecute Jackson. In December 1993, Jordan Chandler gave police a description of the singer's body features. Grand jury members thought they didn't match, but police insisted they were accurate. By 1994, Michael reached a private settlement with the Chandler family. Everything ended and the king of pop was declared innocent due to insufficient evidence. In 2003, in an episode of the documentary series Looking at Michael Jackson, he held hands and talked about sharing a bed with a boy. Things erupted again when the main character, young Adam Arvizo, and his mother accused Jackson of inappropriate behavior. He was arrested in November 2003 and charged with 7 counts of child sexual abuse and 2 counts of administering intoxicating agents related to his relationship with Arvizo in the program. Jackson denied all charges and claimed the sleepovers were non-sexual. The trial began on January 31, 2005 and lasted 5 months. 1 month later, Jackson was once again declared innocent. A life full of glory and turbulence passed, yet even at the moment of closing his eyes, Michael Jackson still didn't find peace. Even his death itself became a topic people discussed repeatedly for many years. On June 25, 2009, singer Michael Jackson died at Neverland, his and the children's fairyland. According to autopsy and conclusions, Michael Jackson suffered acute propofol poisoning, leading to respiratory failure at his private home. Personal physician Conrad Murray said he found Michael Jackson in his room with weak breathing, seemingly not breathing on his bed. Efforts couldn't. After a 911 call at 12:20 p.m., Michael Jackson died at UCLA Ronald Reagan Medical Center. Michael Jackson's death was a tremendous loss for pop music and created a gloomy atmosphere worldwide for fans. The king of pop at this time still had great appeal and influence. He died while preparing for a series of performances in Europe. On August 28, 2009, Los Angeles County investigators ruled out the possibility that Michael Jackson's death was murder, and everything nearly closed here. But after 2 years, the legal battle over who was responsible for Michael Jackson's sudden death was finally investigated and clarified. Because even if it wasn't direct murder, it could still be a case of manslaughter. The first person suspected and investigated was undoubtedly Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael Jackson's personal physician. According to Conrad Murray's testimony, he administered propofol, a surgical anesthetic, to help Michael Jackson sleep through the night during the last 2 months of his life. His mental health condition had deteriorated to the point where he couldn't. Dr. Conrad Murray was immediately handcuffed and charged with the involuntary manslaughter of the king of pop, Michael Jackson. This somewhat satisfied and pleased Michael Jackson's fans and family. He worried about this at all. He believed he had done the right thing and served his client. He had reasons for giving Michael Jackson that medication. Conrad Murray did not cooperate and denied all allegations against him. This made it difficult for the jury to continue the investigation. Not stopping there, Conrad Murray shocked the judge and public by declaring that Michael Jackson had been addicted to drugs and that the king of pop had begged him to prescribe medication. Dr. Conrad Murray's attorney, who was being tried for involuntary manslaughter of the King of Pop, proposed a theory. Michael Jackson himself ended his life by self-administering an overdose of the anesthetic propofol, leading to death. Innocence in the King of Pop. Of course, that was impossible. On the other side, the police had their own methods to prove the allegations against Dr. Murray. Two of the top propofol experts were invited as indirect witnesses for the prosecution. First was Dr. Paul Weil, known as the father of propofol for his role in researching the drug. And second was Dr. Stephen Schaefer, who wrote the instructions and warnings accompanying each vial of the medication. The two doctors concluded that, based on most tests, they discovered that drugs and propofol had certain reactions with each other. Testing Michael Jackson's tissue samples, they also found that besides using the surgical anesthetic propofol, Michael Jackson was also administered two other sedatives, benzodiazepine, lorazepam, and midazolam, almost every night during the last 2 months of his life. To counter this issue, Dr. Conrad Murray's defense attorney pointed out that Dr. Murray was trying to treat Michael Jackson by prescribing propofol at a dose of 25 milligrams, enough to help patient Michael Jackson sleep but not kill him. But whether they wanted to or not, Conrad Murray and his attorney couldn't deny the fact that the doctor had managed the medication carelessly. For example, after administering the drug to the patient without using monitoring equipment for pulse, breathing, or blood pressure, abnormalities occurred that the doctor couldn't handle in time. More notably, after discovering Michael Jackson showed signs of stopped breathing, Dr. Conrad Murray asked a bodyguard to hide all medications before calling an ambulance. This proved that Conrad Murray also realized his negligence when the incident happened, and moreover, he definitely had a plan to conceal his guilt. It was concluded that Dr. Conrad Murray acted recklessly and deceitfully, leading to the death of superstar Michael Jackson. That was criminal behavior, not just simple medical negligence. This is a crime whose final result was the death of a person. In the latest statement and after considering mitigating circumstances, the Los Angeles judge declared that it's important to distinguish between crimes. Many people thought this was a case of medical negligence, but it really wasn't. It was a case of criminal negligence, the manslaughter of Michael Jackson. A person commits criminal negligence when they engage in careless actions, disregard human life, and are indifferent to the consequences. In reality, Michael Jackson died due to Conrad Murray's irresponsible action. Conrad Murray exceeded the limits in treating his patient and caused the consequence of manslaughter. Evidence in the case showed a continuous pattern of deceit by the doctor, that Conrad Murray repeatedly lied and showed no remorse. Dr. Conrad Murray administered the extremely strong sedative propofol to Michael Jackson but failed to carefully monitor. Michael Jackson placed too much trust in Dr. Conrad Murray, and that cost him his life. After a series of arguments and evidence presented by authorities, prosecutors, and those with authority, the Los Angeles court declared Dr. Conrad Murray sentenced to 4 to 5 years in prison for his involuntary manslaughter. Because this doctor showed absolutely no remorse and didn't understand the mistakes he had, this made him a danger to society. But Dr. Murray in reality only had to serve half of the 4 to 5 year prison sentence. Although he began serving his sentence in November 2011 and was scheduled for release in November 2015. Conrad Murray was released early due to good behavior and because of overcrowding in prison, which forced the prison to reduce its inmate. Even until now, many people still frequently listen to Michael Jackson's immortal songs. It probably isn't just music anymore, but also memories, a monument of an entire generation or a historical era. When will Michael Jackson finally rest in peace and the accusations against him be clarified? When will the world forget that there was once a figure called the King of Japan? Perhaps only time will give us the most accurate answer. Sincerely thank the audience for their companionship and support. The video will end here. The greet of the virtual hello and see you again. Wishing everyone a joy. Please subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to watch the latest videos.